Hey grade 12s and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be working on the last question of the Gauteng 2022 June exam. And this is question 10. And then we have 10.1 saying, in a survey, 1,530 people were asked whether they had ever broken a limb. The results of the survey were as follows. So we have the people who have broken a limb and people who have not broken a limb, and as well as their genders as well. And in 10.1.1, we are told to calculate the values of A, B, C, and D. Okay, so with contingency tables, what you should know about them is how they add up. So you see the broken a limb. If we take this 463 and we add it to A, we will get this number. And if we take this, add it to this, we will get this number. So they add up like this, like that. And also, if you take this 463 people and you add it to B, that would give you that total. And if you take A and C, it will give you the total of D. Likewise, also, if you take this people and you take that people, it will add up to the total number of people. Okay, so that's how it adds up. So we can start in alphabetical order because that would just be easier. So to find A, we're going to say the 463 people plus A, that will give us that. So it means that A would be equal to 913 minus 463 people. And A gives us a total of 450 people. So now we have A, you can fill that in as you get it. So A is equal to 450 people. We can go ahead and find B. So to find B, if you take this 463 and you add it to B, you will get that. So that means B would be equal to this total, 782, minus this 463 to get B, minus 463. And let's see what that gives us. And B is equal to 319. So we have B as 319. It's always good to fill it in as you're going on. Then let's find C. So C, we can find C by saying 319 plus C is equal to this. So C would be equal to the 617 people minus the 319 people. Okay, so let's see what this gives us. So C is equal to 298. Okay, so fill in C, 298, and then we can go for D. So lastly, D. To find D, since this plus this is equal to D, we can just find it like that. You could have also said this 1,530 minus the 782, you would still get D. So I'm just going to say D is equal to the 450 people plus the 298 people in order to get D. So D is equal to 748 people. Okay, so that's A, B, C, and D for 4 marks. Then moving on to the next question. So the next question, 10.1.2 says, if a person is chosen at random, what is the probability that it will be a female who has not broken a limb? So the person is chosen from the group, entire group of people at random, and she has to be a female who has not broken a limb. Okay, so let's go to the females who have not broken a limb. So female who has not broken a limb. It would be this 298 out of the total people. And the total people that they are would be this. That will tell you the total. So it's 298 over 1,530. Okay, and you can also simplify it further. So if you do simplify it further, it will be 149 over 765 because they just want the probability. So if you put this also as a percentage, it will also be fine. Okay, then moving on to the next question, 10.2. So 10.2 says, 2 learners are selected at random from a group of 10 boys and 12 girls. Determine the probability that 10.2.1, they are both girls. Okay, so the fact that they're saying that 2 learners are being picked at random from a group, I want you to see it like this. It's not a case that the 2 learners are being picked at once. They're being picked one after the other. And that's usually what they mean when they say 2 learners are picked or 2 apples are picked. This refers to a tree diagram. Okay, so this is how we're going to draw the tree diagram. Because we have boys and girls, we're going to have 2 branches. So we're just looking at the first pick, what is the chance that you're going to pick a boy? Now, nobody has been picked yet. So that means there are still 10 boys out of a total of 10 plus 12, 22 learners. So the first time you try to pick, the chance of picking a boy is 10 out of 22. Then the chance of picking a girl, because nobody has been picked yet, there's still 12 girls. So it's 12 out of 22. So this will represent the probability of the first pick. This is you pick out and you could either pick out a boy or you could pick out a girl. This will be the probability of picking a boy and that will be probability of picking a girl. Now, what I do find weird is that they don't mention that these learners are not being put back in the group again. They're just saying that 2 learners are selected at random. They're not saying that and the learners are not put back in the group. But I assume from the way this is and the questions they're asking, they probably mean that one learner is picked out and then the learner is not told to stand back again in the group. So that one learner is already out of the group. Okay, so in that case, the events here, okay, the probabilities of these ones would affect the next pick. So we would look at it like this. It would be a case of, okay, let's say in the first pick, because this represents the probabilities of the first pick. So if in the first pick they picked a boy, what is the probability of picking a boy again? Since they have picked one boy already, there wouldn't be 10 boys anymore. There would be 9 boys. And now, because there were 22 kids, they're not going to be 22 learners anymore. They're going to be 21 learners because one has been picked. So out of 21. And then the probability, so that will be boy. Then, if they picked a boy, so given that a boy was picked, what is the probability that they will pick a girl in the second pick? Because this part represents the second pick. Because a girl has not been picked, we're saying given that a boy has been picked. Then what is the probability of picking a girl? Well, we still have 12 girls because no girl has been picked yet. So 12 girls, but out of not 22, but 21 learners because one boy has been picked already. Okay. Then in the same second pick, we're saying, okay, what if it was not a boy that was picked in the first pick? Let's say it was a girl that was picked in the first pick. So what is the probability of picking out a boy now? The probability of picking out a boy, if a girl was picked at the first pick, there would still be total of 10 boys. So 10 out of but 21 learners, because we're saying given that a girl was picked. So they're not 22 learners anymore. And then to look at this last branch, which we'll be speaking about, the probability of picking a girl, we would say, since a girl has been picked, now what is the probability of picking another girl? A girl has been picked, there wouldn't be 12 girls anymore. There would be 11 girls out of a total of 21 learners. So that's how we draw the tree diagram. Okay, now that the tree diagram has been drawn, we can now answer their questions. The first question, 10.2.1 says, we need to determine the probability that they are both girls. So what they mean by in 10.2.1, both girls, we're just looking for the probability of in the first pick, you pick the girl. And then in the second pick, you also pick the girl. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the probability of girl and girl. So we're looking at it like this. In the first pick, a girl was picked. And the probability of that is 12 out of 22. Then in the second pick, a girl was also picked again. And the probability of that is 11 out of 22. And when we move across like this, we multiply. So we're saying 12 out of 22 multiplied by 11 out of 21. And let's see what that gives us. And this is equal to 2 over 7. And I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. Okay, so that is 10.2.1. Then in 10.2.2, we need to determine the probability that 1 is a boy and 1 is a girl. So with this one, this is how we need to think about it. Remember, there is a first and a second pick. All they are saying is they want the probability that 1 will be a boy and the 1 will be a girl in any order. They didn't specify that the first must be a boy and the second must be a girl. Or they didn't even say the first must be a girl and the second must be a boy. So we need to take them in any order. So really what we're going to take is we're taking the probability of a boy and then a girl, or we could also take the probability of a girl and then a boy, as long as one of them is a girl and one of them is a boy. So you see, we have to consider these two cases. And when you see the word or means to add. And a simple explanation for this or would be, let's say we had a coin and I asked what is the probability of flipping this coin and landing on heads. So that would just be 1 out of 2. But what if I said, what is the probability of flipping this coin and then landing on heads or tails? Well, the thing is that there's only 2 outcomes here. It's either you get heads or you get tails. So what is the probability of landing on heads or tails? You will always land on either heads or tails. So that would be a half for the heads plus a half for the tails. And in total, it's really just 2 over 2, which is 100% chance. There's 100% chance of landing on heads or tails, because when you say or, it increases the chance. You can land on either one. Okay, so let's go ahead and look for these on here. So we're looking for the probability of a boy and girl first. So we're looking for the probability of boy in the first pick and then a girl in the second pick. So this is what's going on here. Probability of picking a boy the first time will be 10 out of 22. And then we have to say multiply because we have and. Multiply by the probability of picking a girl in the second pick, which is 12 out of 21. So 12 out of 21. Then we have or. So we're adding that to the probability of the second one. So we have now the probability of picking a girl first. So picking a girl in the first pick. And then a boy in the second pick. And then a boy in the second pick. Okay, so picking a girl first, that will be the 12 out of 22. Multiplied by picking a boy would be 10 out of 21. Okay, then we'll just multiply this and add, put a plus in the middle, and let's see what we get. And all of that on the calculator is equal to 40 over 77. And I'm going to just leave it as a fraction. So 40 over 77. That is the probability of picking either a boy and girl or a girl and boy, which is 1 is a boy and 1 is a girl. So you have to consider that they can be picked like that in any order. Okay, so now we move on to the next question, which is on a Venn diagram, 10.3. So 10.3 says, in the Venn diagram below, M and N are independent events. Okay, that is an important thing to consider. Then we have calculate giving answers correct to 2 decimal places. So 10.3.1, we have to find the value of x. Okay, so looking at this Venn diagram, first of all, so just understand that x, whatever this decimal is, that would be the probability of event M only. So this is the part of M that doesn't include N. Then this in the middle is the intersection of M and N. And then 0.45 is the probability of event N only. Then we have Y, which is neither M or N. So to find the value of x, what would include x? Well, we have to take what they said in the beginning. They said M and N are independent events. And this is the rule for independent events. So if events are independent, then this is what it means. And I'm just going to relate it to this though. Then it means that the probability of M and N would be equal to the probability of M multiplied by the probability of N. That's the rule for independent events. So we're going to use this. The probability of M and N, that is just the intersection of M and N, which is 0.12. So that is 0.12 is equal to the probability of M. Remember, this one is just the probability of M only. The entire probability of M is the whole circle of M. And you see that would include the x plus the 0.12. And that's what we have to do. Probability of M would be the x plus the 0.12 multiplied by the probability of N. That will also be referring to the entire circle of N. So that would be the 0.12 plus the 0.45. So let's see what that is. 0.12 plus 0.45. And as a decimal, we get 0.57. So multiply by 0.57. And now you can see we have an equation where we need to solve for x. So to solve for x, notice that this is being multiplied to these that have 2 terms in it. So it's really supposed to multiply in. So if I just have to rewrite it, it looks like this. It's 0.57 being multiplied by x plus 0.12. And then we have a 0.12 here, of course. Then we have to get into the x. In order to get into the x, we can just get rid of the 0.57 by dividing both sides of the equation by 0.57. And let's see what we get. 0.12 divided by 0.57, that gives us, now I shouldn't take a rounded off answer because we have not solved for x yet. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction. So I'm going to take 4 over 19. That is equal to, that cancels. And now we have x plus 0.12. Then if you take the 0.12 over by just saying that 4 over 19 minus the 0.12, that would give you an answer of x. So let's see what x is equal to. This minus the 0.12. And now I can leave that as a decimal. The final answer can be rounded off to 2 decimal places. That's what they said. Correct to 2 decimal places. So here, that is just going to be a 0.09. And you see it's not going to round up. So 0.09. That's our answer for x. Okay, so that is 10.3.1. Then we move on to 10.3.2. Okay, so 10.3.2, the value of y. So we have x, we can put that in. That is the 0.09. The value of y is something you need to know about Venn diagrams. If you take every number, okay, as it is as a decimal in the Venn diagram and you add everything up together, it must give you 1. Because remember, when these things are as decimals, it's the same as them being in as a fraction. So these are really just the probabilities of each event. This 0.09, that is the probability of event M occurring. Okay, so that is really 9%, and this is 12%, and this is 45%. So if we add everything up together, it should give us 100%. So as a decimal, that is just the number 1. So we can take everything added up and it should give us 1. So that's 0.09, 0.12, 0.45 plus y as well should be equal to 1. So that's the equation we're going to have. So since all of these are numbers, I'm just going to add them up first. And when I add all of these decimals, I get 0.66, and we say plus y is equal to 1. And so y is equal to 1, and we're taking the 66 over minus 0.66, and y is finally equal to 0.34, and that's our value for y. Okay, so that is the end of this video. Okay, feel free to leave questions in the comments if there was something that maybe didn't make sense or that you just want to be re-explained. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I hope to see you guys in the future videos.